So I'm kind of done waiting because I really want to discuss this with my community, but I really want to hear what XD has to say so that we have a full conversation going on. But for the past many days, we have nothing from XD, and it is really disappointing to see that we went from talking to the community every single day, acknowledging the problem, taking feedback very seriously, even the gender ratio, which I don't think is going to be a big problem in the game, but they really took it seriously. To now, nothing. Like, just literally nothing. So I really don't know when they're gonna say something, or will they ever say something at all. So I really hope if there's any XD staff watching this video, I know you guys do, then please say something. Announce a plan, announce that you guys are hearing the feedback of the community and you plan to do something. It doesn't mean it's gonna be like free LD selector, whatever, I don't really care, but at least say something. That would be great. But anyway, for those who are not aware, I will summarize the problem quickly. Try to. So when you go to the hell level of Aurora, you realize that the boss is now immune to damage over time effect, which was not there in all of their closed beta, including the most recent final test. This is a really big problem because people watch final test content and they build the dot team because there were many content creators who were very excited that Shadow Sania will still have a very good spot in PvE. Because Shadow Sania, I have one right here, I haven't built her yet, she is not a very welcome character by the community due to the fact that she's a bit more niche. She's not very PvP friendly early on, so people advise you to go for Lily, Doki, Messiah, or Hendrik because they are more PV and PvP friendly. But then, when I log into the final test server, the first team I see for this and Termaton is dot team. Like, I see this team immediately. It was like 40 seconds to a minute run. I can see how well they work in their own test server. So there's no chance they have not seen how good Shadow Sania is in the test server. It is their server, for fuck's sake. I can see the staff name account in there. So they know that Shadow Sania is very, very good for Aurora and Termaton. So after that, the game release, a lot of people go to Aurora because they want to be good in PvP. They want to farm the Bulwark set, which is going to be very important to counter the early game meta. That's going to be like Lily, Mio, and Merveil. So if you have Bulwark early on, you can have the competitive edge. So a lot of whales and spender who are very influential to the decision-making of gacha game, they go in here, they build up Shadow Sania, they defeat Aurora for like 1 day or two, and suddenly there's a bug fix. Oh, the boss is immune to dot now. You can't do that anymore. So you look at the clear team, there's no more Shadow Sania. And that anger a lot of players in the community, especially the spender, because they can afford to go here, they can afford to max out Fangers, they can afford to max out Shadow Sania skill 1 at least early on, so they can start farming and invest their stamina into this content. Remember, this game, resources very, very rare. And even stamina is also very precious because you really have to think about how you spend your resources because they're so limited. So they were pissed. A lot of feedback threads were created about Aurora boss, about how they are not announcing this kind of big boss mechanic change. It's huge, by the way, in the patch before global launch. All right? If they were intending for the boss to be harder, like this one got harder as well, but not like crazy, like how they shadow nerf Merveil, but not really. They nerf every turn meter pushback in this boss in particular. It's still okay to be done because you can brute force with good damage, which Whale can do, no problem. Even free-to-play player can probably eventually one-shot the boss at some point later in the game cycle. But this is an immunity to a whole mechanic. It shut down an entire team for this thing. And that is a big change for a game, which should be included in the global launch patch note. But nothing was there. And now they called it a bug fix, which even fuel more fire into this bullshit that's going on. But instead of talking to the community like how they did with the dupe in RTA situation, they acknowledge it in like 24 hours. They issue something in like 48 hours or more than that. But they did something very, very quickly. But they didn't do shit. And they went and bug fixed another one in Doki Doki. So when you go and fight Doki Doki, you realize that the middle boss in the second wave, not the first wave, the second wave, the middle boss will have attack buff, which was a blue buff that was stealable by unit like Veronica or Ciara. So if you don't want to build Remoka and you are building other character, or if you don't have Remoka, okay, just like me, if you build another character to kill a dungeon like, let's say, Ciara, because she's hot, right? The game have many characters to be used, and they should all be used similarly. Like there should be creativity in team, in dungeon. So they built Ciara because Ciara can do good damage and Ciara can steal buff. So they were using this to steal the attack buff of the mid boss of the second wave of Doki Doki. Or they were also using Veronica to steal the same buff and then apply it to the team so they can start clearing the dungeon without enslaving themselves to Remoka and only using Remoka. So that's fine. That's creativity being done in the community to challenge the boss outside of the meta team of defense break into Remoka, into defense break into Remoka, which is like the most optimal team anyway. So these teams were not like super speed clear team. It was just another angle to approach the content. And Veronica wasn't even like the right unit to use. She is the wrong element to use. And people were using her because they were creative. And that is amazing to see in the gaming community. But they hotfixed the boss, and now the attack buff is not stealable. So people are now running away from Ciara Com, people are running away from Veronica Com, and we're back with either Messiah or Remoka, and that is pretty much it. So that is just very, very strange because they had all the time. The boss kind of worked the same way in previous beta. They had all the time in the beta to do these changes. And if they were planning to do these, which make the dungeon harder, they should really announce it because the dungeon is not easy in any means, right? All of these are very challenging, very hard for like casual player, free-to-play player who are not like re-rolling for the optimal account whatsoever. If you are just playing the game like me and you don't re-roll for the optimal account, then you will be stuck for a little bit, which I think is totally fine, by the way. Like you can be stuck in a video game, like how you're stuck in a washing machine. It is totally fine. The game is challenging and we need to build things to overcome that. But now they're just suddenly making the things harder without really any prior notice. It's just that, oh, new patch, boom, the boss now harder. And people who pick Ciara, people who watch content being created by the community, sharing strategy around, they chose Ciara from their targeted banner, they chose Veronica from their targeted banner, and now with all the investment put into those units, they're fucked because, oops, it's not usable anymore properly. So it is really strange. And the reconfiguration event is gone now. You can't really roll back the things that you did, and there's no plan, no announcement, no nothing to show that they will help you guys return those investment so you can invest back into Remoka or whatever, right? With zero communication about why they did that, the community is feeling very anxious, very concerned. We're going from one of the best gacha dev to one of the worst speedrun in like 5 days. It is insane. And all of that will set a crazy precedent for nerf in the future that will not be included in any patch. It's just like a random small update and hey, bug fix, the skill was not supposed to be that strong. So right now, people are building ditting for a lot of PvE content in the game, as you can see right here. With just ditting, you can do these content very, very quickly, very, very fast, because that character is universally strong in all bosses as a single target damage dealer, being elemental neutral. So very similar to Shadow Sanya, also sort of elemental neutral, single target strong damage against bosses, and everybody is building this character. Is he getting nerfed? Who the fuck knows? Because we are only getting, let's say, balance patch for PvP season. What about random ass PvE change that, hey, we are all enjoying this character and it is really strong in all dungeon, in all shell dungeon. They're gonna nerf it anyway. Like, that makes absolutely no sense. I am in the camp that think PvE should be something that you do every day like a chore. It shouldn't be like too crazily hard. It should still be challenging for the early game casual player. For the PvE crowd, they have the Ember track to do. They have the hard mode of this thing to do. They have the deeper level of Ethernet rally to do. They have a whole lot of PvE thing to challenge. So a lot of people playing this game. They play this game because of this content. This is the biggest advertisement for the game. They always talk about esport, PvP, all that kind of stuff. But if we take ages for like majority of the player base, I'm not talking about whales who can really have all the option and all the gear and all the skill up material to build team very quickly. I'm talking about like 80% of the casual player base. They would take a long ass time to clear this. so that they can get to the fun part of the game, because the resources in the game are so expensive. I don't even want to talk about like how crazily expensive certain things in the shop are that takes like ages to farm, and that can be a little bit ridiculous for a lot of player. In my opinion, PvE should be a little bit hard, but it should be something that you get it out of the way as quickly as possible so that you can start doing the fun stuff, because you can do RTA without limit in this game. You can keep playing RTA over and over and over. Like any multiplayer PvP game, you are allowed to just play RTA for the entire fucking day while you have a little bit of PvE farming in the background. But if they just randomly make these things a little bit harder and harder over time, like let's say if you build this thing and suddenly they nerf the passive in a very simple way, because I think this thing allow you to just stack up crazy amount of crit damage with the passive. What if they just cap the amount of crit damage you can gain? Something like that, right? They reduce the damage of this guy, because that was what happened with Victor. So this guy was the ditting of the final test. He was used everywhere. He was doing crazy damage. He was a bit safe to use as well because he has damage reduction inbuilt, and everybody was glazing this guy. And he was great. He's not like the typical gacha character designer. He's like a big machine dude. He's not like ditting. This is like a typical gacha game character design, okay? This is very, very cool. Everyone was loving Victor. Everyone was memeing about Victor, and they nerfed him. So what is gonna stop them from nerfing ditting? And with the nerf and with the Doki Doki change, they also directly change another mechanic about Veronica, so the soul ward cannot be extended. So there was a comp with Veronica. Let's say you can combine Linglo with Veronica, because Linglo can extend all allies buff by 1 turn. So you can technically combine that with Veronica to make the soul ward a little bit longer, or you can also combine that with other character like Mia to make the soul ward a little bit longer as well, because that's gonna allow you to survive dungeons so much better. So it's another way to defeat PvE. Because in PvP, if the enemies know that you're going to go for some sort of crazy buff team, then they can go in with Hendrik, they can go in with Obo, they can go in with the new Hoden to strip your buff. And that's going to work out just fine. We don't even know how broken extending Soul War is, but they already pre-nerfed that, and that doesn't make any sense to me whatsoever. So I don't know who's making these choices in the game, but are these choices to maximize profit? Because if you're chasing your player base away, then I don't know what you are maximizing. Because if the whales are pissed, the free-to-play casual player are pissed, who are you making profit of? I have no idea. And not only that, because they introduced the double drop event in the final public test, which almost everybody can play if they want to. They want people to play the test. They want content creators to make so much content about the test. So we definitely going to talk about a double drop. We definitely going to talk about how we are expecting the double drop. And they watch every video. They know. They know we love it. They know we want it. And they're not bringing it back. They don't plan to bring it back. They have no announcement about whether that thing will exist even. Is that even a real thing? Was it a fever dream? No, nothing about that as well. If they don't plan to bring it back, it was like beta thing, they wanted to see how fast you can progress, sure, just don't bring it back and then tell the community about it, because they know the community really loves certain thing. But not talking about it at all, yes or no or when, like no is totally fine as well. We really just want communication. We don't need the communication to give us the perfect answer. We just want some fucking communication. I think that is probably the least you could do right now, instead of just shutting down every communication channel. I literally cannot talk to any staff anymore except for the community manager, and they have very limited power. They don't really know what to tell me as well, because they can't, it's their job, or they don't really have any answer. So they have no power whatsoever, and the people with real answer are not saying shit. So I was really loving the communication I had with Jack, the big guy that we see in all the dev talk, that talked to us about the game, talked to us about the development and the future plan and all the shit. And suddenly, he's also not talking. Jack, like, where the fuck are you, man? Are you still with the company? It's crazy to me how we're going from open communication to nothing. And that is very, very disappointing. But once again, if you make it to the end of the video, which I know most of you guys don't, this is not doom posting. This is not the end of the world. This is not rage baiting. I really like the game. I really want to play the game for a long time because it is such a breath of fresh air in the years and years of PvE game. Like, this game is almost everything I want. Okay, maybe if I can see like Celine's feet, that's gonna be amazing. Like, why are they cutting out the best part of this character? Like, I don't understand. Like, why is the armband way too long? I just don't get it. But it's fine. Like, the game is almost everything I want. And I've been loving the game so much, even though my progression is not insane. It's fine. Like, I don't have the perfect roster. I don't spend money at the moment. I'm stuck a little bit here and there. I'm still enjoying the game. Like, I'm still doing arena. I'm still doing my PvE. I'm still clearing my stamina. And I still have a lot of hope for the community and the game in the future. But right now, it's kind of rough. All right. It's really hard to have fun. It's really hard to make another new video be like, guys, there's so much content to play. We're so hyped to get new content coming soon. Events are amazing. Like, saying all of that right now, it's just like, what the fuck? That's all I got to say. And it'll blow this off my chest and then maybe go blow my load. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye bye.